Hi, this is Raj from MR Sportscars. In this video of Diary Porsche Specialist, I'm going to be talking about drive belts, auxiliary drive belts that is, on these cars. All the 987 Gen 2, 981, 997 Gen 2 and 991 cars I deal with have timing chains, but they do have an auxiliary drive belt. And I've found a particular issue with a certain brand of auxiliary drive belts. So I'm going to demonstrate what the issue is, and it's had my mechanics scratching their heads for 4 months. I've had 2 cars affected by this error that occurs by fitting this aftermarket belt. So first of all, I'm going to show you the belt. So here is the one that was taken out of the other car that had this issue, which is actually shows itself as misfiring at 3000 RPM, or 2900 or 3000 RPM. Some cars might be slightly different. It's a Meyle, M-E-Y-L-E auxiliary drive belt, which was fitted to the car before I purchased it, and it's the same with the other car. This car still got it fitted, so I can show you what the issue is, and then in a couple of days, when hopefully it's one of these belts has been changed over to a genuine Porsche belt, I can replicate this same test and show you that the issue disappears. We spent on the other car, we've spent £5,000–6,000 trying to solve the issue that it had with misfiring at 2,900–3,000 RPM. It was a huge amount of work that we had undertaken, lots of testing with the Porsche official diagnostics. We had all the spark plugs replaced, coil packs, fuel injectors, all 6 fuel injectors, the high lift solenoids which control the changeover when it goes to the high cam. I think that's how you would say it. We had the camshaft sensor also replaced. Yeah, the list just goes on. And then we had the ECU reflashed with the latest software from Porsche. Still no change. And in the end, we actually got a new ECU from Porsche and had it coded with Porsche. Still no change. And then I read about these drive belts. It's quite a new situation, and that's why I'm producing a video about it, because I don't want anyone to be caught out and essentially sell their fantastic Porsche thinking it's broken when it's not at all. It's just an out of spec belt. So the issue occurs when the cars are warm. So this car is fully up to temperature now. I've got my PWIS 3 set up here, and I've set it to record how many misfires per 1,000 sparks are being detected. Now, as you can see, they're all zeros. Now, they should really stay around 0, but as you'll see from this car, when I rev it to around 3,000 RPM, some of these will start going up, and then eventually you'll see a message on this dashboard which says the car is essentially in limp mode. It'll be misfire, it will shut down some of the cylinders, and if this happens, then unfortunately 2,900 RPM or 3,000 RPM is 6th gear at 70 miles an hour. So in the UK it is a big issue. It means you can't drive these cars on the motorway safely. So let me just start revving it up now, and again, it doesn't need to be like thrashed, it's just literally hold it at 3,000 RPM or just under, and you'll see, look at those numbers all going through the roof. So that's 75, 80 per 1,000 RPM. There we go, immediately. And then it will say this message, and you can hear, or maybe you can't hear, but it's running really rough. Now the odd thing is when you turn the car off, so I'll just show you what that figure is before I turn it off, because it won't like that. The diagnostics won't like that. I've turned the car off. When you go to start it up again, and I have had to do this on the motorway, turn it off and turn it on while still moving, it's absolutely normal again. And all those counts are now 0. And you can actually rev beyond 3,000 RPM. I won't do it standing still, but on the motorway, if you do, say leave it in 5th instead of 6th, so it's sitting at a higher RPM than 3,000, it will not trigger this issue. It's only at a specific RPM. And what we've actually sort of deduced is that the out of spec Meyle belt, and there may be other brands that are also out of spec, and I would recommend just getting a Porsche OEM belt on your auxiliary belt on your Porsche from now on. what we have deduced is that it's potentially causing a vibration or a resonance at around 3000 RPM, which is transmitting through the engine block, and it's being picked up by the knock sensors, I believe, which are then essentially shutting down the cylinders that it thinks it's basically trying to save the engine. It thinks that the engine internally something's going wrong, and it's trying to shut down the cylinders to protect the engine, when actually there's nothing going wrong at all. It's just a vibration from an auxiliary drive belt. Now, I spoke to official Porsche technicians, and they can't believe that this could be the case. They've never seen this before, but I've heard that this affects 987 Gen 2 DFI engines, so 2009 onwards, and 997 Gen 2 Carrera engines, which are also DFI as well. And it's in particular that Melee belt from, I think, 2021 supplied. And there was an issue with getting these belts even from Porsche last year, so there might be quite a few cars that had new belts last year as part of a major service. Every 6 years you're supposed to replace the belt, I believe, and whoever serviced the car might have gone to order it from Porsche or another provider, and the genuine Porsche one was out of stock, I think, for 6 or 9 months in the UK. So then they would have ordered a third-party belt, and maybe they fitted one of these Melee ones. So check your car. I mean, it's quite easy to just sort of do what I've just done, which is literally just in neutral, just hold it at 3000 RPM, just literally for, I think it's actually 2900 RPM seems to be the, see there, it dips the revs itself then, so it dipped to around 2000, and now it's basically only firing on a couple of, it's shut down some of the cylinders to protect them. It thinks it's protecting them, but actually it's not. And it basically loses power, and when you're on the motorway that can be quite scary. So I'll turn the car off now. But yeah, it's not a good situation. And then if I start up again, you'll see. There, it settles and drives. It sounds perfect again, firing on all 6 cylinders with no engine lights or warning lights there. Now, if I go into my diagnostics and show you in the fault memory what is going on, so now you can see it's not recording any over revs. And what I'll do is I'll turn the car off, but leave the lights on so this can still carry on talking. So if I click that fault memory, it will now have logged some faults in the diagnostics, and unfortunately they're not very helpful ones. It's just telling you that there's misfires. It's not actually telling you what's wrong with the car, and that's what the mechanics are struggling with. So there are people at other specialists who are having worked on their cars, like us, new core packs, spark plugs, everything that the garage can think of that can potentially cause misfires, they may be replacing or putting donor parts in. And that's the situation we were in. We were replacing everything we could think of, and we amassed thousands of pounds worth of repairs. Not on this car, on another car. This car, luckily, I detected the issue very early and decided to just park the car up until I'd solved the issue on the other car, to then literally just jump to a solution with this one. And luckily that's been the case. So now I can repair this car and repair it. It's not actually broken, it's just replace the belt and put a new belt on it, obviously test it, and yeah, then get it all ready for a customer. So yeah, I would say definitely, maybe, well, it's up to you whether you want to do that check at 3000 RPM, just holding it at 3000 RPM to see if your car starts misfiring. But if it is this system, if it is this situation, then also when you turn it off, leave it for maybe 5-10 seconds and then turn it back on, it will be fine. So it resets itself, it clears all the codes, and is happy to carry on driving as normal. The only situation where I've had it where it hasn't been happy is when I've had to, on one journey, restart. Basically it starts misfiring, turn it off, turn it back on again. I've done that maybe 15-20 times on a longer journey when I was picking up a car, and then after that it said it had enough, and it was just constantly said visit workshop on the central LCD, which you saw there with an exclamation with the engine light on, but it was still running normally. It was just saying, look, you need to go and get this car checked out, which is fair enough because the engine's not happy with that drive belt, and it's basically saying it's been unhappy too many times in the recent past, so you need to get it sorted. So yeah, I would say get a genuine belt, and obviously I'll do this test in 2 days time when it's got a new belt on, and I'll show you that this belt definitely is the issue that causes this misfiring. So stay tuned for that. Okay, this is the second part of this video. The car has been away and been repaired, so it's had the drive belt, the auxiliary drive belt replaced. It was a melee belt as suspected, which is really great news actually, because it means that it's very likely that this test I'm about to do will show that this car is no longer misfiring. So I'm just gonna, I've already fired up P13, but I'm gonna actually set up the parameters that I use to monitor the misfire, so I can show you how this kind of system works when a mechanic is diagnosing something. So DME is the digital motor electronics, so that's basically the ECU. It allows you to look at actual signals while the car is running. It's obviously fully up to temperature. I've been running it today to take photos, take a video, and also had some new front tyres put on. The rear tyres were fitted last week. They didn't have stock of the front one, so it's just gone back. So it's been run a lot, and it's 26 degrees, so ambient temperature, so it's a very warm day. So it's fully up to temperature, just like it was the last time I did this test. So I'm basically looking at what are the options for what signals I can actually look at live. It's exactly what I did last time. So there's all these different things you can have a look at. The one I'm looking for is the misfire counter per 1000 RPM, and you basically select everything you want to view. So you can select dozens of things if you want to, and then you press next. So this is showing you cylinder 1, 6, 2, 4, 3, 5. Now what I'm going to do is basically do what I'm going to do here, hold it at 3000, just under 3000 RPM. So I'm doing that. You can see it's at 3000 RPM, and there is the misfire counter. And unlike the last time you saw this screen, there's absolutely no misfires being detected, either correctly or erroneously. So it shows you it was all down to that melee belt, M-E-Y-L-E belt. Unbelievable. I mean, the mechanics have never seen anything like it, and they're absolutely shocked that a auxiliary belt, this isn't the timing belt, this is the auxiliary belt. So this belt is connecting a whole bunch of like auxiliary components to the car. So you've got the alternator on there, air conditioning, the power steering's on there, the water pump's also on there as well. Actually, that's quite important, but it doesn't actually mechanically have contacts, other than obviously it's being powered by the engine. So that vibration is literally really bugging the rest of this car into thinking that there's something crucially wrong. It's sending a vibration through the engine. So you just, if you have one of those belts, it is worth checking if you have that belt. Maybe do this test that I've just done, run it at 2900 or 3000 RPM. If it starts misfiring, then this is likely going to be the cause. If it's fine in all other conditions, so you don't need P13. You just need to do that test and see if it comes up with visit workshop or whatever it said. It's been a few days, it's very hot today, I've forgotten what it said. But that is essentially what you need to do. So I'm just going to close this down. So there we go, and I'll just turn the car off. Had all the fans running obviously because it was very hot. So I'm absolutely thrilled that that fix of, well, it's not really a fix, it's just changing out a perfectly decent belt for the Porsche OEM belt has cured this car and another car as well in my stock, and probably at least half a dozen others now, and also 997 Gen 2s. So it just shows you that there is dramas along the way with being a Porsche dealer, a Porsche specialist, but if you persevere, then you can get to the bottom of these sort of strange errors. Most things that we come across are very common, and you come across them if you've done this many years like I have. You come across the same issues multiple times on different cars. Things like the front coolant pipes sort of weeping, air conditioning not working, lower arms knocking because the rubbers are basically delaminating, the bushings are delaminating out of the arms, leaking dampers causing like very soggy suspension. The list goes on, but most things you can sort of get straight to the solution with just sort of looking at the car. And this one was just very strange because it didn't matter what tests you ran on the car, the engine and all the tests wouldn't tell you what the issue was. It was only down to another specialist having changed the belt, sort of went back to the drawing board and said, well, what have we changed? And then they actually switched it out in the hope it would fix it, and it did. So it's one of those, and I'm trying to get the message out there as much as possible about this issue. So I don't want other people spending thousands like I have. I don't want other dealers or private individuals spending thousands on these cars unnecessarily. And also I don't want people selling a car to an auction house or to We Buy Any Car or something like that because it develops this misfire after having a belt change, because you're getting rid of a very, very nice car if you do that. So that's all I wanted to talk about in this video. If you've got any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to comment below. Thanks for watching.